Hi guys, Jimmy Fluke here for Apex Racing Academy. This is our Sebring track guide for the Mercedes-AMG GT4 for week 11 of the Falcon Tire Sports Car Challenge. As well as these track guides, we're also giving away our Mercedes-AMG GT4 data packs for free this season. So that features your qualifying and race setups, the reference lap files, so the B lap and O lap files, the replay files of the hot lap, and then access to our group coaching on a Tuesday evening. All you need to do is go to apexracingac.com. There's a link in the description and put in your email in order to get the data pack for free. Onto the track this week with Sebring. Quite a bumpy and difficult circuit for most cars. It's pretty stable and pretty comfortable though in the Mercedes this week. We'll see if we can get a little bit of extra speed out of it. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. Another reminder guys that you can get this season's Mercedes-AMG GT4 data pack for free over at apexracingac.com or by following the link in the description below. Alright guys, so into the lap here at Sebring. So with turn 1, if I just roll it through to this point where the wall starts to taper away and an extra seam forms here, once we get onto this sort of area here, we can then get onto the brakes for turn 1. That's kind of the guide and metric that I have for T1. So out we go, down into 4th gear. You could grab 3rd if you're struggling, but 4th is fine for me. Note the cone in the catch fencing on the left-hand side here. We want to feed the car to the wall and apex pretty much at this point. So if I just roll it through, we're just gently feeding the car in on the brakes. Not super hard on the brakes either, just nice and gently does it, bleeding off, and trying to just feed the left side wheels as close to the wall as we dare. Trying to pick up the throttle just before or pretty much on the cone here on the left-hand side, and then accelerate off the corners. Nice and aggressive, just be careful about the bumps. So that's where this hesitation comes from, just making sure that the car stays stable before then fully committing to the exit. If done correctly then, we won't run wide and we'll use all of the outside curb here. So through the little kink of turn 2, nothing really to worry about, but turn 3, the braking zone for that is this set of 3 cones on the right hand side. And we'll try and brake in as much of a straight line as we can initially on the way in. So down into 3rd and then 2nd gear. Once in the 2nd, we're very much releasing the brake and feeding the car in towards the inside yellow line. We're not taking inside curb here. We probably could go either way with this, but on this lap I decided not to, just to try and get the rotation done nice and early. So an early throttle pickup. Patience with the throttle here. We want to slightly open up turn 4. and then grabbing third gear before we do. The important thing here, to help open up turn 5, and generally just shorten the distance as well that we travel, is taking as much of the inside curb here as we can. So that means half the car up over the curbing and the grass even as well, and then the left side wheels still on the normal racing surface. To do that, we need to bleed out of the throttle here, just so that the car doesn't do anything too wild or wacky. And then as we land, back to full throttle, and then very quickly spotting a reference, so just where the white line sort of kinks away here on the right hand side to brake for turn 5. So just brake and down one, little trail brake basically, and then picking up a nice early throttle and a nice late apex as well. Again, trying to avoid the inside curb if we can. If we nudge it, it's not the end of the world. So in this case, I did just sort of clip it, but the car kicks around quite nicely, and then on exit using absolutely everything on the way out. Just patience with the throttle, given it's a long loaded second gear corner, and then up into third on the way out. So from here, just wrap the white line on the right hand side here to shorten the run down towards the hairpin, which is turn 7. Bring the car over to the left hand side, and I'll pause it here. So split the difference between the set of 4 cones here on the left hand side and where the relayed tarmac is, and where it begins here on the left hand side. So split the difference, cut it in half. We're braking in and around about here. So strong threshold braking, sort of 75-80%, down into third, second, then eventually first gear, feeding the car in as soon as we start coming off the brake. A nice early turn in here, and try and use the curb to help rotate the car. The bumps as well will also sort of help rotate the car, as the car will get a little bit unstable on the way in here. So bleeding off, let the car rotate, let it sort of float through the corner a little bit, pick up the inside curb, pick up the throttle, and let the car pivot round, straighten the wheel as soon as you can, and up into second gear and driving off the corner. You can use a little bit of the dirt on the outside here, just straight line it to the best of your ability, just don't put more than half the car into the dirt there on the left hand side. So up through the gears we go, third, fourth and fifth gear eventually, so through the kinks here of turns 8 and 9, nothing really to worry about. Then into Cunningham, which is turn 10. We'll pause it here. Set of 4 cones on the left hand side work pretty good as a guide. I'm going to brake pretty much right on them, down to the third and second gear here. And this is an interesting sort of corner. So traditionally, with a corner of this sort of angle and speed, we would really set up for our exit and try and focus on turning in late, getting the power down nice and straight, and then accelerating hard off the corner. But because it's so bumpy on the way through, it's more worth your while to carry more entry speed and sort of let the car float over the bumps, knowing that there's solid ground on the other side, rather than trying to back the corner up and get a nice square exit, which will then, on a flat surface, provide you with the drive off the corner and the run to the next braking zone that you need. But because it's so bumpy, it's hard to actually get the power down anyway here. So floating the car in, picking up a fairly late throttle, and then patience with it even still until we pretty much get back to the resurfaced area of the track, where we get back to full throttle, and then tracking out all the way to the white line. A lot of people will try and cut or sacrifice the double left here, or sacrifice the right to open up the double left. You don't need to in this car in these conditions. So flat through the double left, and then over to the left hand side to set up Tower Bend, which is turn 13. The set 3 cones on the left hand side is going to be our guide. We're going to try and brake in as much of a straight line as we can, at least ending up parallel with the white line before we turn in. Down into third we go. Again, you could grab second, but for stability and traction reasons, I prefer third. Feed the car in, reasonably early turn in. There's a nice groove here on the inside, as long as you avoid the curb but get the right side wheels inside of the yellow line. There's plenty of grip to be found. The car will pivot around quite nicely, and then again we can accelerate off the corner, so tracking out using all of the curb available to us. It is a little bit bumpy on the way out, so that's why I feel like third is the right gear to use. So the run down towards the Le Mans complex, the right, left, right, so flat through the double left preceding it. And then just as the curbing ends on the left-hand side and before the 3 cones here in the grass on the left as well, we're going to get onto the brakes for turn 14, sorry. Down into third. So with the rescan here and the change in the curbs that we have here, this alters how we take the entire section here. It is possible to take the old line of cutting over the inside curb and just trying to stay as close to the edge of track limits as possible. So not having more than half your car over the inside here, but it's so difficult to place the car exactly where you want to that it is just safer to run around the outside and just keep the right side wheels on the actual curbing. Gentle with the throttle pickup, we want to slightly open up the left. So through the left we come. A lift as well. Again, this will keep the car over to the left-hand side so we can open up the final right-hander. So over the curb we go, and then as soon as we land onto the brakes and gently coerce the car in towards the inside curb. Nice and gently does it. Ideally, the right side wheels do glance off of the inside curb here. Plenty of throttle before we get to our apex. Wait for the car to offer some stability and then crunch the throttle on the way through using everything on the way out. So from here, long run down towards Sunset Bend, and another sort of complex corner to try and get right. You can take this a multitude of ways, but I'll explain how I like to go about it. So I'll pause it here. So we've got the set of 3 cones here and the set of 2 cones. These are 2 of my guides here. So I start diving for an apex, and it'll be clear what this is once we get a little bit further down the road. But I start turning in basically and loading the left side wheels on the set of 3 cones here. I'll brake at the set of 2, and it's not too hard on the brakes. Even though we're taking a reasonable amount of speed off, we're taking a long time to get the speed off. So 50% pressure is kind of my maximum here. I almost treat this yellow line as like a curb of sorts, and I'm trying to get my right side wheels through like this imaginary sort of curb. And that seems to work well for me. So I'm not super tight to the wall, nor am I like really, really wide on the way in here. It's kind of middling. Down into third. And my like track out point for the first part of the corner is the white line. I will almost never go wide of the white line unless I'm in a racing scenario trying to fight another car. So bleeding off the brake and then let the car sort of tip back in up over the bumps as well, and trying to pick up the earliest throttle that I can. So I'm getting onto the throttle well before the bridge and well before this really nasty bump on the inside line here, but I am trying to get as close to the inside as I can. So there's that nasty bump. Holding a stable amount of throttle up over the top here will serve you well. And getting fairly close to the inside wall here on the way through. Once the car settles, commit to full throttle. If you want to pick up another sort of apex there as well, then feel free to do so. And from here, the rest takes care of itself. Just arc the car out towards the outside wall without obviously hitting it. And then it's just dead straight run to the line for a lap of Sebring in the Mercedes-AMG GT4. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to go over to apexracingac.com to get your free Mercedes-AMG GT4 data pack for the rest of the season. For further questions and info, join our Discord server, which you can access with your subscription. We host a group coaching session on a Tuesday evening, so make sure to check the details in the Mercedes-AMG GT4 car channel once you've signed up. That's all from me. We'll see you guys in the next one.